everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Angel if this is your first time here. I am a part-time reseller primarily on the Poshmark app. You can find me at Thrifty Business. Today we're going to talk about some practical tips to keep your business running smoothly, especially if you're a part-time reseller. Actually, special shout out to my mama resellers because I am living, breathing proof that this can happen. I'm living it out every day here with you, and I know it's a roller coaster, but it doesn't have to be crazy all the time. There are some things we can do to make it better and make it more enjoyable. So before we do that, I just want to point out the obvious. No two resellers are the same. I mean, seriously, think about it. You may have two young boys or live in a rural area where you don't have a lot of sourcing opportunities, but our cost of goods in the area are probably not the same. And our husbands or whoever your significant other may be, their schedule might not be the same, or you might have a part-time job. So just keep in mind, try to get away from the comparison game, look at what I'm doing in my life and understand that it may not fit into yours perfectly, but there may be a few things that you can apply and that are really gonna change things for you in your day in and day out life. So before we get started, let me get the boys settled and grab some coffee, and then we will get to our tips. Okay, the boys are sleeping and you are now officially welcome to my poshing space. This is my faux fur rug that I take all my photos on, so welcome. I've had my coffee. I even gave Eden a haircut, which I'll probably include some clips from that. So, let's get straight to it. Tip number one, I'm gonna give you 4 simple tips. They're really not far out there, they're not complex, but I think we forget when we're in the middle of the hustle and bustle, just the simple things we can do that are gonna make us breathe easier and just feel like we have a handle on things and can enjoy both our life outside of this business and even everything we're doing here as well. Okay, so tip number 1, you need to set boundaries. And this seems so obvious, but I just this week had to have a discussion again with my husband because I really had been overstepping some of the boundaries I had set. So you need to set boundaries. That seems so evident, but I think we've all been there where we realize we're not taking time for ourselves, for our spouse or significant other, for our kids, whatever that may look like, even for your work. You may need to set boundaries from this side gig to make sure you're getting done what you need to at work. So make sure you're respecting those boundaries so that you can have a healthy little side gig and a healthy rest of your life. It's gonna be so much more enjoyable. So that's obvious, but I feel like we need to talk about that first. So tip number 2 is to create lists. So what I like to do now and has become such a good system for me is to create a list of 2 reseller tasks I want to do a day. Now I mean that outside of shipping and just your regular pushing up your items. Something that's abnormal, like today, making this YouTube video was on my list of things to do, and then I need to list things to Facebook Marketplace desperately. Like I have a couple hundred things in there. So those are my 2 tasks. And the reason I say stick to 2, and your situation could be different. You might not have kids, whatever it may be, but if you have a side job or something else going on, if you don't stick to 2, even if in the back of your head, you're like, yeah, I have 2, but it'd be great if I could also do this, this, and this. Don't even let your mind go there. Just focus on your 2 so that when those 2 get accomplished, 1, you can do those well because you're only focused on those. You're not focused on hurrying up and getting to the next thing. But 2, you're gonna be so satisfied with having the things on your list checked off. So focus on 2. That's great if you happen to move on to other things, but try not to let that get in your mind. Focus on 2 a day or whatever works for your schedule. And then I also like to do 2 household tasks. So for my situation, I stay at home with my boys. And so part of that role is, for the most part, keeping up the house. And I do not enjoy that at all. So keeping it down to 2 tasks is so helpful. So like today was giving the boys baths and giving Eden a haircut. And those seem so simple, and those aren't really that household related, but change those numbers, you change whatever that needs to look like. It may even be like goals for your other career that you may have besides this one, but for me it's 2 household tasks and 2 reseller tasks, and that has been super, super helpful. Okay, friends, number 3, you need to create systems. And what I mean by that is things that are just gonna make you more efficient. And that's something that should be constantly changing, evolving. You should be researching it. I'm not putting that as pressure on you, but that's a huge game changer. And so you should find joy in that. For me, I watch YouTube videos in the shower and that's what I listen to figure out what can I do differently that's gonna make my daily life easier and make it so that I'm working smarter, not harder. So for example, I'm sure many of you guys started to do this as well during quarantine, but especially with my little kids, and even now, I really don't want to take them out thrifting too much. So I was sourcing online, and you saw maybe in my last YouTube video, if not, you can check it out. I did B&G Trading and did some sourcing on there. It's a liquidation site. And I also did a lot of Goodwill auctions online. And what I would do is buy a ton of stuff from the same Goodwill location because you have to pay shipping and handling. So if you can buy a bunch of items, and it will show you under each item. Message me if you have questions about this. I don't want to go too in depth, but point being, I was able to save time and money and by just bundling a bunch of stuff on Goodwill auction and having it sent to my house. So I didn't have to take my boys out, and that's what worked for me. So I felt like for that time being, that was a really good system. Even if I was paying up just a little bit, it ended up being better in the long run. So that's an example of a system. There's things like batch work, which I also really love. If you're not familiar with batch work, it's just super simple. So like if you were creating Instagram content, this is something I'll sometimes do, not to the point of being ingenuine, but whether it's just clothing pictures or whatever it may be, I will try to take a ton of pictures at once so I have enough for 2 weeks to a month of just filler content, and I'll still be taking other things throughout time. And I'm not the best at keeping up on Instagram, but whatever your priorities may be, that's nice to just for me to work on that for 1 or 2 days and be focused on that task solely, and then to just put that to the side and be done with that. So research shows that you actually are more productive when you work in batch work. So yeah, there's that example. And then shipping. So for me, I found a system I really think works, and I'm continuing to look online or to look at your guys' Instagram content or whatever it may be to see what I can do differently to make my shipping process faster. So as far as time-wise, I always am shipping in the morning. I always feed my boys, get them settled, and then I go and ship and get it all done all at once, get everything packaged, and I feel like I have a really good system. I do package pickup now outside my front door, so I'm trying to do whatever it takes to create systems that are gonna make things a lot more efficient. Okay, and the last one is to create schedules, and especially if you have kids or another job, you need to have a schedule so that, again, you can make the best use of your time. So you also have to think kids love routine, and so they're gonna thank you as well. One thing I like to do is to take my kids thrifting during their nap time. I know that sounds kind of crazy. Some of you have kids where you're like, that would never happen. But some of y'all know what I'm talking about, and your kids just always fall asleep in the stroller, or they always fall asleep when they're in the carrier. And that can be the case with my boys. So I'm trying to make it so that I can take them thrifting, and it doesn't always work. But if I can thrift during nap time, I can breathe a little easier. I can enjoy my thrifting experience. I can actually look up and research on my phone my items before I check out and not leave in a hurry and miss things that may have been flawed or whatever else it may be. So anyways, super simple tips, nothing complex there, but I hope those are good reminders for you. Create boundaries, create lists, create systems, and create schedules. So if you guys have any questions, seriously, DM me, drop a comment below. I love helping new resellers, or whether you've been a seasoned reseller yourself. I love to chat about what we can do differently or just life itself, because this has been such a blessing to me. And let's see, I've been a reseller in September. It'll be 2 years that this has been a real side gig for me. And I'm still learning so much all the time, but I feel unbelievably blessed, seriously, to be doing what I'm doing. I absolutely love it. So whether you're not a reseller and you're just interested and want to know more about it, message me on Instagram. My Instagram name is thrifty.business. And again, on Poshmark, you can find me at thriftybusiness. Thanks so much for joining me. I love you guys. I will see you next time.